Ready, steady, go for the Punchestown Festival edition of our very own Festival Focus. I'm your host, Tom Lee, and the other man on the line wishes he was, but he'll have to settle for being the Grand National winner himself, David Mullins. David Mullins, don't answer that. It won't end well for me. Do answer this. Punchestown, peerless Punchestown, 5 magical days, sift through the memory banks. Give me a David Mullins memorable winner or two from your years riding at Punchestown.
Yeah, Punchestown, it's always been a good place for me. Plenty of winners around it, not even the festival, but just the track in general. It's one of the best chase tracks in Ireland, probably in the world if it goes that far. But I had great days, especially when Gordon and Willie were fighting out the championship and the pressure being so much on each of us riding. Ruby was out injured a few times, and I was lucky to get the leg up on Bell's Hill and Faugheen there the day after one another. I think it was 2018 maybe. And day one, it was a reception I never came back into like it before. I can only imagine what the guys in Cheltenham felt, but this was as big as it got for me anyway. Coming back into a winner's enclosure.
I was going to say that's really quite something. Not only have you returned on Rule the World to the acclaim of pretty much the entire sporting world at Aintree, but you've also the mighty, the wonderful Faugheen been on a winning day on that legendary horse's back. That's quite something to have on the CV. Answer me this, because we're going to work through some of the biggest prizes across the first 4 days of the Punchestown Festival. It's the end of a hard season, a long, grueling, demanding season. There are horses at different points of the curve, and what I mean by that is some of them have and haven't appeared at the likes of Cheltenham, Aintree, Fairyhouse. With that in mind, where are the upsets, the banana skins, the surprises going to come? We'll start with the opening day. 4:15 on Tuesday, the first of the Grade 1 prizes. That's the Champion Novice Hurdle. There's no Marine National. He's having his summer holidays after his Cheltenham heroics. Does that simply mean the door is open for Facile Vega, or is it a bit more complex than that?
I think it could be a bit more complex. You couldn't knock him on his Cheltenham run, being second behind Marine National in the Supreme Novices, but he still does have that question mark. He's probably not the champion we all thought he was going to be. And novices can go through that bit of a lull, and no better man than Willie Mullins to bring him back. But I just feel Punchestown is a place where horses on an upward curve, that's the way they're going. And I don't think it's a place, if there's question marks over you, I don't think it's a place to be going this late on in the season. That's why I'd probably stick with Diverge. He had a good run in Cheltenham. I think he's on that upward curve. More experience, he'll have it here. Alette Tomp he's been at every sort of dogfight this year and last year. He's not a big, strong horse, sort of more narrow, and I just don't think he's gonna last it out till Punchestown for the season. So listen, I could be wrong. I don't think there's much between any of them in their ability, but Diverge for me, just because of the upward curve, it normally suits horses like that.
Interesting. It's quite an opening day, isn't it? Because not only have we got the Champion Novice Hurdle, but of course we've got the cornerstone of the card on the Tuesday, the Champion Chase at 5:25. Energumene will obviously and understandably be short to again complete the Cheltenham Punchestown double. Is that how it's going to turn out, or could there be a little bit of a shock in store here brewing?
It's very hard to see him beat, but as I said again already, it's the end of the season. Energumene has had 2 trips over to England. He won the Hillyway as well. Gentleman to me, as we said in other previews, that he's a spring horse. I'm going to have to get a look at him in the Prating to see if he looks any bit fitter. He obviously missed Cheltenham for a reason. So if that hasn't had too much of an effect on him, whatever way, if he looks fit enough, I'm sure Willie will have him that way. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think Energumene's going to get it all his own way, but he still should win. But Gentleman to me, if there's a hole there and if he's fit enough, he will be more than capable of picking up the pieces.
And picking up the pieces, Willie Mullins seems to dominate this meeting year after year after year. We see the might, we see bookies offering up odds about him winning all of the Grade 1 prizes. And yet in the third and final Grade 1 on the opening day, the Champion Novice Chase at 6:35, the obvious eye-catching thing is that going into the meeting, Willie Mullins for once doesn't have the favourite. He's got Sir Gerhard. He's got a horse that you've spoken very highly of on this series. Appreciate it. He's got Classic Getaway as well, so a real strong hand. but the likely favourite is for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel in Journey with Me. Tricky race.
Tricky race, definitely. Appreciate it hasn't lived up. I think he's possibly the injuries have just got to him a bit this season, and he's maybe he's getting a bit long in the tooth. I'm not sure. I don't like any of the first four in the betting. Classic Getaway was a disappointment last year over hurdles. He won a beginner's chase and Gorn very well. That's fair enough, but that's a long time ago too. Journey with Me, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure when it comes down to it at grade one level if he has it or not. And Sir Gerhard is not a 3 mile chaser in my book. So for me, I'm going with one of the two outsiders. I can't really make up my mind. If James de Burley gets an easy lead on the front end, he's going to be very hard to peg back. He's a quick jumper. He travels. He goes a good gallop. If he gets a bit of a freebie, they're going to have a tough time getting him back. He jumped a bit sketchy in Fairy House. He's probably a bit brave. I wonder, as rubbing his belly off those big fences in Fairy House compared to Cheltenham, I wonder has that made him think a little bit about it. If it has, he'll jump a lot safer, and he could take a bit of pegging back. But if they go too hard, Fair and Lily will be there too.
I'm only laughing here because the turn of phrase "rubbing his belly" is an absolute masterstroke. We should copyright that for Festival Focus. So Diverge, Energumene, and James du Burley could be the big shock on day one. Fast forward to day two, Wednesday, another trio of grade one prizes. The Irish Mirror Novice Hurdle features, well, a likely strong favourite in the Ballymore runner-up, Gaelic Warrior. Intriguing.
Yeah, Patrick, I remember him doing an interview with Matt Chapman after the Ballymore in Cheltenham. He said he wants a trip. I don't know. I can't see it at all. I can't see him settling. He was very keen in Cheltenham. He was keen in Leopardstown. I don't see him getting 3 mile racing the way he does. He'll be dropped out, well dropped out. If Patrick is right, Willie's going to pick up another grade one here. But I just think he's going to beat himself, and that's probably his problem. A big one I'm going to go for each way is Calanese Star. A few of Oliver McKiernan's were in and out over Christmas and the spring, early spring. But Calanese Star has ability, and that yard is back in form. I think he's 33-1. He could do a lot worse and find a good each way price about him somewhere around that mark.
Calanese Star, a euro each way, perhaps. The big one on Wednesday, as ever, is the Gold Cup. And speaking of Gold Cup, of course, it's a rematch between the Cheltenham 1-2 Galopin des Champs and Brave Man's Game, who is, we hope, allowed to run. Throw into the cocktail shaker the Ryanair hero Envoy Allen, and you've got a proper horse race.
Yeah, listen, it's going to be a great race to watch. I think it's going to be the same result again as Cheltenham. It's going to be a great. There's going to be a lot of people there to see that rematch, and especially with Envoy Allen too. But I can't see it going any other way than the way we think it's gone, and the way the betting has it.
Galopin des Champs for David Mullins, who napped him. He was the nap of the entire Cheltenham Festival, and boy, did he deliver. Also, Grade 1 status on the Wednesday 6:30, the Champion Bumper. Before Cheltenham, you weren't entirely convinced, I think it's fair to say, by the maestro from Dungarvan's runner, John Kiley's A Dream to Share. You must be impressed by what he achieved, both in Cheltenham, and surely think that he has at least a strong chance of remaining unbeaten. He's a perfect 4 from 4 thus far in bumpers. Young John Gleeson gets a great tune out of this horse. Will it be his moment again, or is this where he loses that unbeaten CV?
It's very hard to go against him. He was awesome in Cheltenham, and John Gleeson gave him a great ride again. He has a lot of gears being by that flat page, and it's possibly just catching out the National Hunt bred horses. But I know Tully Hill, they have been raving about him for a long time down in Willie's. I'm hearing a lot of good things about him. But he's won a bumper in Gorn. It's very hard to say he's going to come out and beat John Kiley's horse. So if you were to ride one, you probably would stick with the favourite, A Dream to Share.
Fair comment. Day 3, Thursday, Champion Stayers Hurdle up at 5:25. This arguably has the ingredients to be the watch of the entire 5 days of Punchestown, because you've got the incredible, redoubtable 11-year-old Sire du Burley, who every time you write him off, he just sticks 2 fingers up to whoever dares to do so and says, listen, I'm still here and I'm still able to deliver at the very top level. Amazing old horse, and just seems to, if anything, like a fine wine, mature with age. The other end of the age scale, you've got probably the rising star Tihupu, 5 years younger than Saidu Burley. And then you've got the complete head scratcher, which is the returning enigmatic and brilliantly talented Monkfish. What on earth to make of this champion stays, David Mullins?
Yeah, it's going to be a good race to watch. It's a tricky one to get your head around. Monkfish ran a cracker in Fairy House, but he's not really a hurdler. I can't see him winning this competitive Grade 1. Tihupu has the Cheltenham form. He got second taken off him. I think he possibly could have won. I definitely don't think he should have got second taken off him. Again, sorry, in the in the appeal. But it's going to be a funny race. Classical Dream, he bombed out in Cheltenham. He's obviously a very tough horse to train, and it's going to be interesting to see him, like Gentleman to Me and Classic Getaway in the paddock, to see what sort of shape he's in. You'd wonder, was there something amiss in Cheltenham, and he might have needed a few easy weeks. Possibly would have done him no harm anyway. But it's going to be a big performance from Willie to get him to get back in top nick like he was last year. But I think if he shows up, he's probably the one.
Classical Dream.
Yeah.
Intriguing. I of all the names you could have plucked out the hat, I thought that's the last one you'd come up with. We do like it when we disagree, and that might be the case here in the 6:35, the Barberstown Castle Novices Chase. Will it be a third straight Grade 1 for the excellent El Fabiolo, or is there a potential banana skin lurking in this novice chase?
Don't waste any time on this race, Tom. It's all over El Fabiolo. Yeah, he can stand on his head twice if he wants. He'll still win.
And don't waste any time. We will crown this episode of this Punchestown Special Festival Focus with one race on the Friday. And if you could only ride in one race on the Friday, surely it would be the Champion Hurdle. Some of my favourite memories, and I've been going to Punchestown for 2 decades. I absolutely love the place. But I remember in 2011, the roar that went up when Hurricane Fly hit the front. Punters, well, it was as good as going to the cash point. You could double your money in around about 3 or 4 minutes. Is it that straightforward without Constitution Hill that they all shuffle up one and therefore Stateman wins the Champion Hurdle? Or at the end of a tough season, is there a surprise lurking here in the Champion Hurdle?
No, I think it's all over again, Stateman, and I don't think Paul was particularly hard on him in the Champion Hurdle. And I think it's gonna pay dividends again for him. I don't think there's going to be any question mark of the bounce or the tough race in Cheltenham. It's Paul gave him a peach, and listen, Constitution Hill is unbeatable. Paul seen that down to the last. Paul was looking for an Annie Power moment out of Constitution Hill, I think. I think he got a fairly handy race with no chance of ever beating the winner. The horse I'm interested to see, though, is Pied Piper. He was probably the first horse I liked for the Champion Hurdle this year. He lost his way, but he bounced back again in Cheltenham and was second in the County Hurdle. And some of those performances in the winter and in early spring, they can catch out second season juveniles, say 5-year-olds. And in the spring, then when they get this bit of good weather, they often get a bit stronger. I know Stateman is the same age, but they often get stronger. And I wonder, is he going to improve again on that? I don't think he's a write-off for next year's Champion Hurdle either.
Intriguing stuff. That's pretty much it, both for this edition, the Punchestown Special Festival Focus, and for this season. God willing, we will be back in tandem for the autumn campaign as we head towards Cheltenham, Aintree and Punchestown once again. But we're not going to let you go, David Mullins, without saying, thank you very much to everybody who's supported the show, Dean and all the team who've backed us, Andrew and, of course, Cameron, who've helped us put this together on a weekly basis throughout the winter and now through the spring. But just as we did before Cheltenham, and you absolutely nailed it and stuck the ball in the back of the net from 30 yards with Galopin des Champs, I suspect the same answer is brewing once again, and it will probably be the right one. But you've given us the following material to surmise, David. Diverge, Energumene, James du Burley on the opening day. You mentioned Calanese Star, Galopin des Champs, Tully Hill on the second day. You mentioned Classical Dream and El Fabiolo on Thursday. Stateman and Pied Piper, probably in that order for the Champion Hurdle on the Friday. If you, as a dual Punchestown winning rider, and indeed as a Grand National winning rider, could only sit on one of those horses this week at Punchestown in front of the big crowds, which one would it be?
No, if you're asking me as a jockey, everybody wants to be on Galloping the Champ. Yeah, that's as a jockey, that's what you want. You want to be coming back into that massive big parade ring. Favorite backers everywhere. I never seen a roar like it. Himself and Honeysuckle probably similar in Cheltenham. I think it's going to be another one of those moments again when Brave Man's Game and himself line up.
Good man, David Mullins. Folks, thanks for watching. Festival Focus, over and out.